What's good, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about two decks going into Seattle that I think are highly underestimated for what they can do as Zodiacs hit. And the first one's DDDs. A lot of people are seeing this as a quote-unquote transition format where we have full power DDDs and then we're going to have Zodiac, and everyone's kind of saying that there won't be a threat. People won't know them well enough. The thing is, there were a lot of DDD duelists before this deck came to full power. Now, DDDs are very combo-oriented, and what they used to do, and what a lot of people still kind of think they do, is just throw out huge beaters. Now, if you've been watching the Zodiac Duelist Tournament series, there was a huge indication on what would be happening coming up towards Anaheim that a lot of people missed, and that's that Paleozoics would be taking over. I did a top 10 in December and put Paleozoics at number 5, and tons of people said I was insane for doing that they didn't even deserve to be in the top 10, and then it turns out they were the second best deck of the format. Very similarly, we're seeing a lot of the better players, such as the card guys and our own players from Team Zodiac, playing the DDD deck and doing insane things with it, insane boards. Like, we're seeing fields that can deal a Hope Harbinger, a Siegfried, and on top of that a Crystal Wing. That's 3 negates that can deal with 2 board wipes. And board wipes are about to be very, very prevalent as Zodiac happens. So not only can it deal with 2 board wipes and a monster, then it has 3 huge monsters on board as well at 3,000, and a Crystal Wing that does, 3,000 as well, like the Hope Harbinger, and also has extra effects for dealing with monsters. So, I would say it's very, very hard to call this the same as the Pendulum Magician thing, where Pendulum Magicians just got phased out. Also, in Japan, we've never seen full power DDD come to head with Zodiacs. While people are like, it's only one more Lamia and one more Slime, these are huge combo pieces that enable this deck to huge heights. Like, Lamia and Slime are what you want to see in every single combo. So in the Japan decks, you would give up things perhaps like Desires, whereas now it's not so much of a risk. You can just go ahead and still play that and go for it and get your pure pluses, because all your combo pieces are searchable and you're not as scared of banishing 3 as you are 2. Also, that's a natural kind of replacement for Allure, where you are banishing your combo pieces and maybe bringing them back with Omega and having to wait a turn. Now, another thing that we have in America/TCG format that the OCG didn't have is a Raigeki and an extra Dark Hole. So decks that don't necessarily need the Kaiju engine don't have to go to Slumber, and DDD is one of those decks where you don't need the Kaijus and you could give up a little bit of consistency and still make pretty great boards. Not these insane boards I was just talking about, but you could give up consistency and play those 3 board wipes and 3 Dimensional Barriers. Dimensional Barrier alongside DDD is just so powerful. You can go ahead and force your negates early, knowing that they're going to try to go for Xyz plays, and then use your Xyz. So you can get your negates on cards they might not think you would negate, and then play around the other cards. So I would say that DDD definitely one of the highest ceilings, very combo oriented, and will be very similar to Metal Foes in that those who learn this deck and learn where not only the combos, because combos aren't the end all mean all, but learn how to react versus different decks with said combos and different combos, will be highly rewarded. And I think we will see this heavily prevalent within the top 16. I think we will see a lot of high potential duelists playing this deck at Seattle. And like I said, you're giving up consistency. You're playing Dimensional Barriers. You're playing Field Wipes, but that's because they will enable this deck so much. Maxi also, perhaps. Maxi is very good against this deck, but very similar to Mermails, you're able to OTK through it if you have a Field Wipe and 3 good cards. Your combos are typically Lamia, Slime, and you're reaching out and getting your pieces through those, and usually a combination of 1 of 2 other cards. So it's very possible going second that you're opening a Field Wipe and your combo. Almost every single combo piece is searchable, if not every. So I really think that this deck is going to be just insane. It's not Pendulum Magician. It's not going to just disappear. It's a starter deck as well, so we're going to see in many players' hands, just like Domain Monarchs, where Full Power Pendulum, yes, instantly phased it out. It's not going to be instantly phased out. And the second deck I want to talk about also coming to the forefront is Infernoids. The market very much dictates formats at times, and there's a reason this deck is so darn expensive. Lawn Mowing Infernoids are actually very prevalent towards OCG as well, and we will not even see Wind Witches until after Seattle. So both these decks have a time where you're not seeing like heavy artifact play perhaps, and you're going to just see free range. Now, artifacts actually don't even hurt the Infernoid deck, and Dimensional Barrier heavily does not like... It will stop them from going insane, but they'll still be able to set up the boards with things like Anunku, Deviati, and be able to OTK. Like, Void Imagination's one of the most insane cards. So, playing field wipes within this deck as well, without having to play the Kaiju engine as well, like, to lower the consistency, is very, very good. And then they have access to one of the best, I would call a trap monster, Fairy Tail Snow, in the lawn mowing builds as well. So, like, you have all these perfect things swirling around these two decks to be able to take Seattle. I think players will surprise people with how well they know DDDs coming into Seattle and not mess up throughout the days and be able to just push it out. The average player perhaps not, that doesn't have the time to dedicate to that, but I think a lot of the pros will show huge surprises with DDDs. And then there's the pros that... people sleep on Infernoid so hard, I do not think it will be sided against much at all. I don't think people are going to be thinking, I better side for Infernoids. Like, they're going to be thinking, how can I beat Zodiac? Maybe, how can I beat DDD? Because it's about to get in there for 3 weeks and maybe make people realize. But right now, all the talk is like, DDD is a joke, and it's no joke. It's actually just the most insane. You can go watch the feature match soon on Robbie Cole's channel. It should be up in a day or two, where Alex Buell, Zodiac Zone, takes on Blair Hunter, the card guy zone, and it just shows one of the most insane, like, what DDD can do matches back and forth. Like, I really do think that it's just kind of the answer. But Infernoid is such a sleeper deck, despite it being so circulated in the market right now and hyped up, and all the prices are going up. There's a reason for that, and I think we will see a lot of players taking it. The thought process on it's a little less compared to a lot of decks, although you do need to think about your levels and routes. I think players that are truly experienced with this can bring the deck to the next level in terms of the boards they set up and the boards they break. So I think Infernoids is just kind of that ultimate sleeper deck. Like, it's insane. Like, this deck was slept on for YCS Dallas, and Eric Christensen took that so hard. No one saw it coming. Nobody. And, you know, Retaliating Sea was a thing, like, heavily for that format because of Shadows, and Infernoid still played through one of their hardest cards where people would Retaliate Sea, like, Reasoning, and it still just did so good despite having cards already there for it. And I think this is a time where, like, we won't see as many people doing Retaliacies. We won't see as many people fearing Metal Foes with that card. They'll be playing, like, Typhoons and other things, I think. So it's just so hard to say that people are going to be prepared for that deck. But again, DDDs are no transition format. Like, it's going to be there. It's a starter deck, and you need to realize how big of a field will go for the cheaper, more budget option. Like Hope Harbinger, you can still go and find them for 8s to 9s right now, and I think that'll go up. Siegfried, just all these cards that you're going to have access to for these insane boards and playthrough. And again, I want to emphasize, both these decks get access to field wipes. Field wipes are the most important thing here. Raigeki and Darkhold not existing blows fields wide open for both of these to OTK. So what do you guys think about this? Like, is Zodiac really the end-all be-all? Because people thought that about ABC, and then Metal Foes came in and kind of wiped the floor at Bochum, and we saw it do very well as well. ABC did get its event in Anaheim, though. And Paleozoic actually took more top 4 spots in both those events than either of those decks. So, like, all these formats keep, like, having people so strongly say they're figured out, and then something just comes from behind all the time, and it's been doing so well. I don't think we thought too much of Paleozoics. I know, like I said, I did that in my top 10, but I put it too low myself. I put it at 5th, and it was the second best deck of the format. So what, is there another sleeper deck besides these two? Is something else going to come out of the woodwork, or is this kind of it? Or are these the players, you know, Janishishi, Metal Foe, DDD, Infernoids, Heroes, and of course Paleozoics? Are those 6 the main, alongside maybe Mermails? Like, I feel like DDD is just the better Mermail. You set up a more insane board, and you set up more insane insane OTKs, although Toad is totally awesome. Like, he is one of the best. So, again, tell me what you guys think. What deck are the sleeper decks coming up? And what deck is just going to kind of, you know, have its way with the format? Thanks for watching, guys. I really do enjoy these kind of discussions where I would rather talk about the surprise that's coming than what we already know.